We will see an ovular DUB. Ovular we have already finished in college. So anular DUB is also known as irregular DUB. Anular DUB is seen in women who are having hypogonadotrophic amenorrhea, those who suffer from PCOD, that is Steno-Leventhal syndrome, those who have a metropathia hemorrhagica, which we will already be seen here, and those who suffer from any other hypothyroidism like cases or diabetes mellitus. Now DUB, what is DUB? We will repeat again the definition. It is excessive uterine bleeding, more than 80 ml of blood, either in quantity or in duration. But one thing it differs it from menorrhagia. Menorrhagia is either in quantity or in duration, but DUB, the definition is same like that of menorrhagia, but adding point is what? We will not find any cause in DUB, say no organic pathology in pelvis, no hematological cause, even no systemic cause. So then if there is no cause, and why DUB is occurring? This is one subheading under the abnormal uterine bleeding. So if there is no cause, and we have to search with what is the cause. For that, first of all, we will see the presenting. A woman who is having a DUB will come to you with the symptoms of menorrhagia or metrorrhagia. She may come with polymenorrhea. She may also give you the history of continuous bleeding, which is preceded by period of amenorrhea of 3 months or 6 months. Means she gives you the history of amenorrhea, and now she is coming to you with the excessive bleeding, which is continuous for about 6 days, 10 days, or even 15 days. So this is one of the presentation of metropathia hemorrhagica. Now this metropathia hemorrhagica is most commonest condition seen under the heading of anular dysfunctional uterine bleeding. Now these are the symptoms. This is very much incident in OPDs in India as well as abroad. Now to diagnose this dysfunctional uterine bleeding, we have to take the samples from endometrium. So endometrium curettings and biopsy, this sent to the histopathological studies, from where we will get the report which will be showing endometrial hyperplasia. So here we will see one by one the types of endometrial hyperplasia. Endometrium is markedly overgrown. How it is overgrown, that I am telling you. Now the Graafian follicle, which is there is dominant follicle. This is dominant Graafian follicle. If there is LH effect, then it will rupture and it will release the ovum. Now we know if there is no LH, there will be no ovulation. Now if LH, then this dominant Graafian follicle will rupture and release the ovum. Then if it is releasing ovum, the remaining part is what? This is the follicle which is remaining, which will secrete the hormone estrogen, estradiol, its precursors. In this DUB, anular DUB, what exactly is happening? There is no LH effect. As there is no LH effect, there will be ovulation. Hoga kya? Nahi. There will be anovulation. And as there is anovulation, this Graafian follicle will turn into cyst. Multiple follicles are there, they will turn into cyst, and this is the cystic, this becomes cystic Graafian follicle. But this cystic Graafian follicle has to release hormone estrogen. वो तो अपना काम करेंगे. Graafian follicle, they release the hormone estrogen, which is acting over the target organ, that is endometrium. This estrogen causes its effect on the endometrium, which is markedly overgrown. This endometrium is getting enlarged, it is getting hyperplastic, which we will confirm by the endometrial hyperplasia reports. Now we can get various types of endometrial hyperplasia. That is basic, very common is the proliferative endometrium. In this, now each and every diagram I cannot show you. You should refer the textbooks of gynec, that is Dawn or Shaw's. Just understand its proliferation means something is enlarging. Now in the menstrual phase, you know proliferation किससे होता है? Follicular stimulating hormones. So as follicular stimulating hormone is coming from anterior pituitary gland, it is enlarging the follicles, and this is causing the proliferative effect of the endometrium. We know there is no ovulation. So this endometrium is proliferated till the end, till the 28th day of the cycle, and it remains proliferative. Hence it is called as proliferative endometrium. This type of hyperplasia is seen in a pubertal girls or a perimenopausal woman who are suffering from DOB. Second important hyperplasia which we will be seeing is adenomatous hyperplasia. Adeno, we know adeno is related with glands. So glands, when they are enlarged, it become crypt-like. Endometrial glands papillary projections हो जाता है यूट्रस के अंदर. So this enlarged adenoma or glands will be intermingled with the interstitial tissue as well as stroma. So that we can consider it as a adenomatous hyperplasia. Last, third one which is most important is the metropathia hemorrhagica. Now metropathia hemorrhagica we will take in detail. This is normal, but this is myohyperplasia of uterus. You can see it as a unilateral or bilateral. This can be detected accidentally on clinical examination of the pelvis. Sometimes we find uterus is bit bulky. Actually, हम definition में क्या बोलते हैं? There is no pathology. But still, you can find bulkiness of the uterus. It is shown in either sonography or on examination. But there is no pathology as such. Mild myohyperplasia of the uterus because of estrogenic effect. We find it as a unilateral or bilateral enlargement of the uterus as well as ovary. So ovary enlarged होगी unilaterally or bilaterally because ovary has become cystic as there is no LH effect. So ये जो cystic ovary जो है, it will secrete the estrogen and cause the excessive enlargement of the, so more proliferation of the endometrium. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, जितना estrogen continuous आ रहा है, it is acting on the target organ from the Graafian follicles which has become cystic. So cystic Graafian follicle जो estrogen दे रहा है, acting on the target organ, it will become markedly enlarged, and now it is giving rise to very much continuous bleeding, which may be fluid, bright red fluid. So patient comes to us with a history of excessive bleeding, which may be preceded by period of amenorrhea 3 months or 6 months. This is the whole thing behind the endometrial hyperplasia due to metropathia hemorrhagica. This we can see it's a naked eye appearance. It is myohyperplasia. Now structural view. That is microscopic view. Here you will find multiple endometriums which are enlarged, crypt-like projections are there, stroma and interstitial fibers as well as thick stroma. This appearance is nothing but the, इसको बोलते हैं Swiss cheese pattern. This is called as Swiss cheese pattern. It was MCQ question earlier. Swiss cheese pattern is also known as cystic glandular hyperplasia. So cyst and glands both are enlarged together. So this is the classical presentation of metropathia hemorrhagica, known as cystic glandular hyperplasia or Swiss cheese pattern, because of continuous estrogen and estradiol acting over the target organ, that is endometrium of the uterus. Now understood about the endometrial hyperplasia. If you have any doubt, you can ask questions to me on WhatsApp. Fourth type you can get, that is irregular ripening and irregular shedding of endometriums. This is because of defect in the corpus luteum. If there is ovulation accidentally, corpus luteum, actually we are talking about alveolar, so there is phase defect. Corpus luteum will not secrete the normal progesterone, rather it is absent also. This is the reason why endometrium is not ripened uniformly, it is ripened somewhere and it has to bleed occasionally. So there is intermittent bleeding, we can say irregular ripening and irregular sheddings of endometrium in cases of fourth type of hyperplasia. Fifth, which is most important, that is atrophy. Atrophy, we see if there is premature ovarian failure, atrophy of the genitalia, like that only atrophy of the endometrium. So again, it is because of corpus luteal inadequacy and phase defect. This is all about endometrial hyperplasia. So now we'll see the diagnosis is clearly on clinical history, what patient is giving you symptoms, signs, as well as we'll confirm it by clinical examination only. Investigation has got less role, but we will have to rule out other causes of menorrhagia to come to the diagnosis of the dysfunctional uterine bleeding. So PV and PS में कोई changes रहेंगे क्या? They will be completely normal. For vaginal examination, for speculum examination, bimanual examination will be completely normal. You will not find any change in color of the vagina or any structural change, or even no any discharges will be seen which are emitting out of the cervix or vagina.